Hello, and welcome to our conversation about listening in the classroom. What does it really mean to be a good listener? Well, as we talked about in class last week, listening just doesn't mean clearing off your desk and putting your legs together and sitting up straight with your hands folded. Listening is a process, and there's much more involved. Hearing is one step. The crucial part is comprehending what was heard. The listening process has 3 steps. There's receiving, attending, and then assigning meaning. In the receiving process, listeners receive the oral stimuli or the combined oral and visual stimuli presented by the speaker. Then, the listener focuses on important stimuli while ignoring other distracting stimuli. This is the paying attention step. Kids don't know how to do this. They think that paying attention means to sit up straight or stop kicking their feet or cleaning off their desk. Then the listener has to assign meaning to what it is that they've just heard. The listeners comprehend or assign meaning to the speaker's message. There are different purposes for listening. Discriminative listening. The purpose is to distinguish among sounds. For example, participating in phonemic awareness activities, noticing rhyming words in poems and songs, recognizing alliteration and onomatopoeia, and experimenting with tongue twisters. Some strategies include blending, segmenting, savoring wordplay, noticing verbal and nonverbal cues. Then there's aesthetic listening. This is listening for pure pleasure or enjoyment. For example, listening to stories and poems read aloud, viewing video versions of stories, watching students perform a play or a reader's theater reading. Some strategies include predicting, visualizing, connecting, and summarizing. Then there's efferent listening. The purpose of this is to understand a message. Some examples would be listening to informational books read out loud, listening to directions, listening to the teacher present information, use graphic organizers, listening to oral reports, view informational videos, listen during mini lessons. And some strategies include organizing, recognizing the big ideas, questioning, and summarizing. Then there's critical listening. And the purpose of this type of listening is to evaluate a message. Some examples would be listening to debates and political speeches, view commercials and advertisements, evaluate themes and arguments in books read out loud. Some strategies include determining the author's viewpoint, identifying persuasive techniques, evaluating and drawing conclusions. Here are some ways that you might incorporate listening into your mini lessons. When we're talking about conversations, you might have the kids take turns. You might have them redirect the talk, sharing ideas, offering opinions and suggestions. When retelling stories, we might ask them to organize and visualize, identify big ideas, and then summarize stories. We might encourage kids to ask questions, including those literal ones, inferential ones, critical questions, and then evaluate those questions. For dramatic activities, we might ask kids to activate their prior knowledge, elaborate on ideas, respond to nonverbal cues, and then, of course, that idea of monitoring. So there's our conversation about what it means to be a good listener. I hope this helps in you trying to come up with a lesson plan that involves what it means to be a good listener. And the next time that we meet will be at Orchard Hill Elementary School. You'll be on spring break the week after that, and then we'll meet back on campus on the 4th of April, where we will take some time to develop a lesson on what it means to be a good listener. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon.